duty to be so investigative and come up with all this debt around. Yes, I'm with you. I'm not, I'm with you total 100%. Thank you.
Yeah, it might be Bree or Bri. You can unmute your mic, Miss Bree. Right, it might be technical glitches there, Simba. Do you still have those requests that you kept seeing? Because okay, so can you add Babalamek as a co-host? I think that will help us. Yeah, he has. Oh, AB as well. Otherwise, these things are not going to get moving. Oh, sorry, Simba. I need to let you know. You know, I've blocked a lot of Zanu. Like the bullies. So you might. Do you want them on the space? Because you might as well drop me down so that they may have their say. No, I they're already blocked, so I might as well drop down as a co-host because if I'm here, they won't be able to join your space. Could Simba? You know, they won't be able to join your space. So I don't want to. This is your house. These are your rules. But I felt I should let you know.
Yeah, Simba. Yeah, Simba, but the way you are dressing very lady, you're still wrong is also. Chero munhu asiri mai vako biologically.
Yes, Simba, Zuri. No, Simba, you're doing a good job. I mean, these people need to be exposed. So there's no manipulation as far as I'm concerned. The issue is that you disrespecting her. I think these people have disrespected us for a long time. And I don't see any disrespect in what you have done. In fact, the trolls should be addressing Auxillia Mnangagwa herself for disrespecting Zimbabweans. This thing of first lady, this or that, they are all illegitimate. We know that. So if she's a first lady, she's a first lady to you, not to me. So you're doing a great job, Simba. Keep it up. We followed you, all the support you gave to Mary Chiwenga. That is really appreciated. May you continue to do the same. We are rallying behind you and Zimai. Thank you very much.
I just saw finals, but it dropped down. I can't see the six.
I also can't see anyone from my end. Only one
They
person I
should come
saw,
out
but the
of the
person
space
dropped.
and then come back, I think. Simba, can I ask a quick question while we're waiting? Yeah, there was a letter that was written addressed to you. Was it to try and get you to cease and desist from what you're trying to do here? Because there's something I didn't understand. They said something about the media, that it will ruin relationships between the president's office and the media. So, are they trying to insinuate that your work is going to affect journalists on the ground in Zimbabwe? Yeah, because it was addressed to you, and then there was something about the media. There's a relationship between the offices and the media is going to be destroyed or something.
Uh, Simba, how are you? Yes. For me, I don't know what exactly do you want to achieve, but as a journalist, I think you actually now taking people away from you, or you're actually chasing away people from you. Uh, in as much as you think that you, because she is a human being like you, she will then react the same way that you are reacting, and then people will start to think, Simba, is this the journalist that the journalism that we are expecting from journalists? You are not an amateur in this industry, Simba. You have been in this industry for a very long time, and some people, they respect you because of who you are. And one more important thing is that you have to respect the industry that you are coming from. So when you are having this kind of spaces to hear that I know there's a leakage. Last week there was another one. I think, there's a time, I think you were saying that you have engaged here. So if you have if you have managed to engage here, why are you continue, harassing here like this? Why are you continue uh, uh, putting her name into mud like this? I don't know, but I think what you are doing right now is no longer fair, even to her or even to other people that you might gonna engage in the future, because your journalism is not ending today, or even the other upcoming journalists who will follow you, probably when the nature take its course. How are they going to learn from you? I think it's important. When I saw you tweeting or posting that you have managed to talk to her, and you are now talking to the first lady, I thought that this is now a matter of reasonable and mature people. But now when we see this kind of things coming back, I think you are not being fair to her, because she will not even come on this kind of platform to defend herself or to air her views about this, or what she feels about you, because or because of her stature. I think you are now taking advantage of her, because obviously for some reasons that we know, she's the first lady of the nation. She cannot just come here and start to argue to say, no, Simba, I didn't do this, or Simba, you're lying. She will not do that. That one is a fact. But I think the way that you have taken before to say now you are engaging here, or you have engaged her, or you have managed to talk to her, there is a or whatever. If it was true that that was the avenue which was there, I don't think this space was going to be necessary for you to hold it, unless there's a sinister agenda behind this space, or unless there's another move or motive behind this. This will be my submission to you, Simba, to say, now for me, I'm totally confused. What is the end game to this? What are we going to achieve? Are we going to heal the nation with this, or are we going to continue to have a breaking nation from this? For me, Simba, with all due respect, when I saw the tweet you posted, I was not even expecting to see you holding another space like this. That's my submission.
Yeah, if sorry, sorry. If, all right, but if you can send an invite to Salani, because I think maybe it's your network, so that she can co-host. Yeah. Right. Okay, it's fine.
Simba, before I make my submission, I don't want to turn it into a political space, but I've got a question for Baba Shona on the submission that he's just made. I don't know if he is okay to answer the question. Okay, thanks. Baba Shona, and the usually say, Baba Shona, my question to you is quite straightforward and simple. Assuming that Simba has credible incriminating evidence against the First Lady, are you happy for the law to take its course against the First Lady? That's just the question to you, specific to you. Thanks.
I think that question you should address it to Simba because Simba is the one who has got the evidence or has got the allegations. So for me, I will not even answer things that I don't know. I will not even comment on things that I don't know. Simba is the one who is alleging here. So that question you should actually direct it to Simba so that we know what he has in his pocket or in his hands, you know, rather than to ask me that kind of question. Honestly, you are not even being fair to people who are listening on this platform.
Listen,
Because as it
Baba Shona, you always get technical about these things, and unfortunately, I want it to be me against you. I've just asked you a simple question because you came here saying if Simba is being unfair to the public, is being unfair to the first lady. Then I said, if he has incriminating evidence, are you happy for the first lady to face the law? That's what I'm saying.
Simba is not new in this industry. Simba, he knows where to address those issues if you have got anything that he alleged that he has for the first lady. You know where he can take these issues. He's not new in this industry. Simba, he has been in this industry for a long time. So I don't think it would be an issue for him or even Simba will hold a space if there's anything to say that the first lady did this or A, B, C, D. He knows where to go and he knows where to address those issues. So I don't think that question will be of interest to anyone here, honestly.
Thanks for that, Shona. Thanks for being philosophical. Thanks for that. Anyway, this is going to be for you, Simba. Simba, right. As much as you say you've got evidence against the First Lady, obviously she holds one of the highest offices in the land, obviously by default because she's the wife to our president. Whether we endorsed him or not, it's a different matter. My issue with your first expose was just this is not personal to you, just an observation. Yeah, it was to do with when you gave it the deadline. That's where I had a problem because for me that looked as if that was kind of some blackmailing, and I wasn't too happy. I thought maybe there were other channels or protocols which you could have followed as a journalist. I'm not saying you didn't follow those channels or protocols, but I'm just saying it's for me that's a gray area that probably needed you to clear because this is in the public interest. So we would have wanted to know what actually pushed you to that extreme of giving a deadline to the First Lady, if there are any other protocols that you could have followed. Thanks. Uh, Simba, just to chip in again, sorry to take your time. The other part, which obviously it's inherent in Zimbabwean culture or African culture, that we cannot reprimand in public, public officials or whatever it is. I applaud the work that you do, and I just wanted you to articulate the process in terms of when you are doing investigative journalism and you've got incriminating evidence. Do you go and publish the stuff first before you approach the authorities? What's the timelines on that? How do you approach it in stages chronologically? Do you go to the authorities and report whatever incriminating evidence you've got, or do you publish the stuff first? Thanks. Okay, Simba, Simba, it's just undibate muromo ipapo. Right, that question was very deliberate because I know that the question was it's based on a scenario yokuti it's in a democratic society. Kuneva noti Zimbabwe is democratic, whatever the case is, and so that wouldn't apply in Zimbabwe per se. Kuti uno reporter, the first lady to police, because there it's just cumbersome. I don't think you'll get anywhere. Anyway, for my to finish the submission, I just wanted to ask you what is the end game to this saga for you as a journalist? Because it's in the public interest. You have to publish it. People have to know what's happening behind the scenes. So what's the end game? What's your position? When is it going to end? Thanks.
All right, Babashona, please, can you try to recall your request so that I can send you request from my end? I've been trying to approve you to no avail. Thank you.
Host, someone is holding their hand up. I think it's Anderson. Thanks.
Yes, Anderson, you can go ahead, please.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. I've been listening and I've been following this issue. I've been following Zimai for quite some time on a number of issues they've been reporting and so on. What I believe, what I'm noticing, or what I've noted is Zimbabweans in general, we have become so polarized or so divided to an extent that sometimes we even hate Mwana because of political affiliation or of what they believe in, maybe of the church they go to and so on. I wouldn't see any problem when we are a society of tolerance, because some of the things we do as a people, we put a lot of emotions and we blind ourselves. If especially what really divide us is politics or political affiliation. When you are labeled a member of the MDF of the opposition, you are a sellout, and whatever you say, the person who's on the other side will never listen to you. And we have some on the side of the opposition. Whenever they see those on the other side, they are enemies and so on. So this now I observe has now divided us a lot. So on the particular issue at stake today, I've lived in the UK for quite a number, almost close to 20 years now. I think I've observed a lot of good things, which I think they make a society move and they make a society viable because there's a lot of tolerance. So when Tony Blair was in power, I remember the time he was about to leave office. There was an issue of her wife. She was the first lady of Britain, as powerful that post is, and so on. But the inquiry that was being done was about how is she paying her mortgage? Is she not going to be using taxpayers' money? Journalists went deep into it, and Tony Blair and the wife had to come up and say, no, she's a lawyer, she runs her own chambers and so on. This is how she's going to get the money. Tony Blair's got a pension. I think in any civil society or any civilized society, we need to move also to that. As in Zimbabwe, it's like those who are in governance. I think from 1980, there has been a culture we have cultivated, and now it's grown to a time whereby it's very, very toxic. Because if people are in power, it's like they are untouchable, which I think is not right. People in power should do what we call servant leadership. If I've got a problem with the president today, I should be able to say, Mr. President, you are behaving like a lunatic. And I should not be arrested for that because he is a public servant. If this first lady is doing something which is not right, those who follow politics in or current affairs, there was an issue of the current president, Boris Johnson, prime minister, and the wife. People need to know everything you are doing because you are in the public eye. You are on a payroll as a public servant. So you need to be accountable. But it seems in Zimbabwe, people go with impunity just because the power they hold, whatever they can do whatever they want. Have you seen, for an example, videos coming up whereby kumakorokoza munhu ari kuzvamburwa mufana akanzi rarai pasa public daylight, nothing is happening against those people who are subjecting other fellow human beings to such torture. And it's like, so if we have got such a society, what more wanenge vari mupower? What I'm simply saying is, Simba, what you are doing as a journalist, what I ask or what I think should be done is make your investigations, as you have said, contact through the channels how to get to the first lady to get a response. If you have the evidence, I think what I believe is don't keep people in the hanging. There's a program they do here called BBC called Panorama. They do all the investigations behind the scene, and then the panorama comes. Everything is there. The program is screened. I ask you, do all your investigations behind the scenes, and then boom. If there is credible evidence, your job as a journalist is to report. Whatever happens after the report is out, if there's a crime committed, if there's anything committed, it's up to the to the authorities to act on that. Your job as a journalist will be done. But when we discuss these issues, I simply ask us as Zimbabweans not to be on the defensive because maybe I support the ruling party, or not on the attack just because I don't support them. Let's do things on merit. If facts are there, let's bring them out. Let's discuss issues, not personalities, so that we are a society which is tolerant. Because I'm seeing intolerance is even shadowing good journalism, good reporting, good analysis. Let's be tolerant. Let's listen to facts. Those who do journalism do them to the best of their knowledge. And those who are in power in Zimbabwe should learn that when you're in power, you don't use power to oppress, but you use power to empower others. That's my submission. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's champion. Yeah, it's champion. We're supposed to come in.
Thank you, Simba. Thank you, Simba. You have done something good. The only thing which I will say is that I would like to see a journalists being given a platform where they can speak, where they can report without any bias, where they can report without any other influence. The problem comes now whenever a journalist have reported what he have reported. Some they even come to defend and say no, it's lies and that's what. But let's be honest. I know that we are influenced by our interests, because our interests are clouding our judgments. They are even also denting our integrity. But let's not allow our emotions to our interest to do that. Let's be honest with ourselves. But I know that, to be honest, it's another issue. To have integrity as well, it's another issue to some of my brothers and sisters. But I am urging all of you, because what we want is to have a platform where journalists report things as they are. They are part of the fourth, I think, structure that can enable accountability to be solved as one of the power matrix, or as one of the element of those who are in power. Those who are in power, they are there to act in the best interest of all of us as Zimbabweans. We are the principals, right? Tisu varidzi venyika, ma-presidents, ma-agents. Saka, if you go to the agent, principal agent relationship, and if you go also to the law of agents, it will tell you what I'm telling you today, to say the agent, which is the politician, must act in the best interest of the people, because the people are the ones who have entrusted politicians to go into offices. But if we don't understand this, because we are getting some of the other things, and we are getting some cramps and so forth, we have to know this today, to say when you want to destroy a person, you give him money. When you want to build a person, you empower him, you give him the platform, you give him the environment where he can manipulate whatever he wants. So what I would say here is, let's allow journalists to work freely within the confines of the real law, not a biased or one-sided law. That's not it. And let's not allow politicians to use the rule by law where they are mutilating the constitution, mutilating the freedom of either people, journalists, activists, and so forth. So I would like journalists to be free and to work within the confines of the law and bring to us the news that we desire, so that we, by the end, we must improve ourselves. We must not get destroyed. We must not get, we must not have to improve negatively. We have to be improved positively by the work that is being done by journalists, by the work that is being done by independent institutions. So guys, let's allow and let's also applaud journalism whenever it is whenever it is doing the right work and the great work. So with this, I will say thank you for the platform. I think you have heard what is my aspiration, or what is my intention is to have journalism being the champion of everything. If it is democracy, they have to champion it. If it is not, and if there is something wrong, let them report about it. Let's not allow ourselves to be muzzled because hatina chinhu, hatina zvinhu, tongova vanhu and the like. That must not be a subject matter. The subject matter is promoting our own journalists and be able to shine over the continent and all over the world. Thank you.
Yes, we have got KK, and after KK, I think Baba Shona would then come in.
Thank you, co-host. Thank you, Mr. Simba. Um, uh, I just perhaps have a question. Uh, I'm just trying to see and get from you how you navigate the obviously what may look like contradicting institutions. There's Madam First Lady. There's Madam First Lady. There's
Yeah, I fixed it.
okay. So I was saying, even this model in investigative journalism, I think it borrows from other territories, and even in those territories, you still have, like in this case, you still have Madam First Lady, the person. You have Madam First Lady, the office. How do you navigate? And I'm asking in terms of process, the way that you would process. I mean, you would go through your work, the processes itself. How do you separate the two, where you still need to uphold the office, because it is an office of influence. It is an office that, through its influence, must bring good to the people. It must perhaps be protected and not destroyed. How do you separate and navigate those two? Mainly, I think in terms of process. At what point do you say this is information, and the information which is of a damaging nature? At what point do you say, at this point, I go public with it? I also want to ask maybe the same question from a different angle. How do you factor, like I said, the whole concept of investigative journalism may have been something that we borrowed from other territories, but how do you factor our own? I know also I'm a victim of this thing where people in power can also be taken to mean they are elders and must not be challenged. I think there is a component of that in our culture, but there's also that institution that must be protected in terms of our respect and not alienate a certain section of our Zimbabweanness, of our people. How do you navigate those things? Thank you.
Yeah, Baba Shona, you can take it up, and then Mofela, then you come in. I hope KK you've been answered.
You know,
Baba Shona.
I was trying to listen kuti nyaya iyi iri kubva kupi ichienda kupi. But what I then realized is that I think Simba is one person who is playing his ball very well in terms of kuunganidza vanhu and people to listen to him. And this is what happened last time. We had Simba holding the same video, the same space, and now this is the exact the exact story which is happening now. But anyway, it is a constitutional right that even if he was in Zimbabwe, he was going to enjoy those same rights that everyone is receiving in the country. So this is the democratic space that comes with every human right that they deserve. If you come to Zimbabwe today, you enjoy those same human rights. And as you know, our president is always saying no one is above the law unless the court proves you're otherwise you're not guilty. So in this case, I think it's one of those spaces that kuzotandara ingoteredu. But I acknowledge him being a journalist and him being one of social media, I would say, influencers, because whenever he hold a space, I never saw him holding a space in even less than 100. So he's one of the good people who can attract people with some of funny stories like this one. And we'll continue to have some of these stories from Simpa. I like him for that because it will continue, but at the end of the day, like I said, with the way I see it, with all due respect, there is no story here. We can gather tomorrow, we can gather, another day again, but there's no story. That's the honest truth. And for Simba, me, I know Simba personally, and I've been, talking to him, in different platforms, Zoom meetings, and so forth. So yeah, we are here, and we are going to be here talking on these issues again. But at the end of the day, I think it's actually not good, Simba, to continue abusing the first lady's name. Yet 2-3 days ago, you said you have spoken to her and you have managed to talk to her. But now we are continuing with this trajectory. I think, honestly, she is, before she became a first lady, she's a Zimbabwean. She's got her own rights. I think you actually, with all due respect, you are not respecting yourself as a woman. If you have got any issues that you think it needs to be addressed by the authority of Zimbabwe or the authorities of SADC or the authorities of African Union or the authorities of international, community, you know the proper channels, you know the channels that are supposed to be followed. But as far as I'm concerned, as far as I understand, you very well, Simba. Trust me, there's nothing here. You're actually making stories to just abusing this, our mother of the land, and I don't think it's good. It's very, very hard, Simba. If you had, if it was good, it was going to be very good if she was gonna, avail herself to come here and defend herself. But as it is right now, we are just abusing her because you will not come and defend yourself. That is the biggest trajectory that we are facing here. And it's not fair to her, for her own human rights, that you are violating here. Yes, you, Simba, have got your own human rights. I don't think if tomorrow I'm going to hold a space starting to do Simba did this, Simba did that, and then the next thing I'm going to have another space, Simba did, Simba do this. I don't think you yourself, before even going to your profession of journalism, you will be very happy about it. But I would think, Simba, you are a man. Be man enough and do the right thing, and you know the right thing. You are not an amateur, like I said. You are not a junior journalist, unless if you are now telling me that you are no longer a journalist, but you are now an activist. Then it will be another story altogether. But as far as I know you, with some of the engagement that I had with you, I don't think we can continue abusing First Lady name here on these platforms. If what you are saying is true, that there's some skeleton in the cupboard, you know the right thing. Take those issues where it's supposed to be, and let be discussed there. If I will give you an example, we've got Deputy Minister of Agriculture who was arrested of corruption, and that person went to court because these were the issues that are handled. So if you have got any issue, Simba, let's not abuse our first lady. I think the best way we should, if there's any issue that you think on her, good works that she's doing in the land of, helping the poor children, women, and marginalized communities. If you think that there was a corruption or any miscellaneous behavior which was done there, it's something that we could probably say, what happened? There's a money akajiwa. No, but as it is right now, to be honest, I'm just imagining if it was your sister being, abused like this on social media, and her name is being abused on social media. You said there's a lady from Canada. What kind of world are we going to face? In this, what kind of I don't know what is the end game of this story. Like other speakers said, what is the end game of this story? Because as it is, Simba, if you were going to say, first lady, vakabira ninge musi wakati panguva dzakati pakabiwa mari yakati, we would say, okay, fine. Where is the police? Are the police not doing their job? Is this not met and being investigated? But if it is an issue now that there is an allegation, pakazoitika zvakati iwo ndione information yachona, and you are continue holding these spaces now and then, I don't think you're not being fair. In other words, I think it's actually a trauma that you want to create to her. But thank God she's once a politician. She understands this kind of terrain. That when you, yeah. Honestly, Simba, let's be fair. Like I said, she's a human being. She's got a feeling. She's not built by an iron. She will obviously think and react. She's not living in isolation. She lives in a community where people live. And for information, she's not an ordinary person that we're talking about here. And when you see her name being dragged like this, that's why I'm saying, thank God she's a politician. She was once a politician. She understands when these kind of storms come, she know how to handle them. It's not the first time to face these kind of stories. Grace Mugabe abused her in front of more than 10 journalists, more than 100 journalists watching it 24/7, and she managed to sail through on those kind of things. It's not her first time to face these kind of things. I believe even if she is listening to or watching this space, she'll get some confidence that her road will be fine. The storm will be over. But I don't think, Simba, with all due respect, as a man, we can continue to abuse women like this on this platform like this. If we have got any other issue that you think she's answerable, let's take it to the authorities. If you think the authorities in Zimbabwe will favor her, you know the procedure. You yourself, knowing you, Simba. This is
Sorry, Baba Shona, can you just prepare to land, please?
okay. In 1 minute, what I'm trying to say and the message that I'm trying to send home is: let's not continue to abuse the first lady of Zimbabwe. I don't think it's fair even if it was your wife or your sister or your girl child facing this kind of things. If there's anything that she's supposed to answer to the authorities of Zimbabwe or to the authorities of SADC, AU, and international community, you know the procedure, Simba, than holding space day in, day out, listening to us vanamupurwa panapa tichitaura kwatisina kuswera. I
I'm
don't think
sorry,
it's fair
Simba.
to him.
Simba. For
Thank
somebody
you.
to come, this is Baba Shona. I know he's talking, but he shouldn't use such language of Vanampurwa Panapa. That's insulting people on the spaces. They try and use
I'm not
language that
that
is diplomatic.
listen. This
No, 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 Baba
the
Shona.
good thing is
Don't turn. No, 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 no. Don't
this
turn this
space is being
into a
recorded.
propaganda space. I'm sorry. Do
Listen,
not take
finals.
propaganda.
This
Yeah, sorry. Babashon, please, can you just conclude and then finals, then you come in and then you then I think address some of the issues Babashon has raised. Then after that, we have got Mofela and then Kumasim Barash, I think. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I think people should not twist words here. I said I don't think it's fair for us inini, okay, vanampuru vakaiti vanenge inini tichitaura about these issues that even myself I don't even know where the evidence is. Even some of us we don't even know because it's Simba's word against First Lady. We can comment 24/7 here, but it will not even see the day of the light. Are we solving? What are we solving to the nation? What kind of picture are we showing to the world? Are we building the nation or are we destroying the nation? And I will repeat Simba by landing. If you have got any information, you know the procedure because you are not new in this industry. You have been in this game for a long time. You know where to take these issues to, and you know where these issues can be addressed to. Thank you so much.
Right, finals, you can come in.
Okay, thank you so much. Thanks, Baba Shona, for that. Anyway, Simba. Baba Shona kept on reiterating that you know the procedure, you know what to do, okay? And you've been in the industry for so long. There is abuse to the first lady, which means it's an abuse against women, and you're abusing your powers as a journalist. So I don't know what your answers are to that. Do you know the procedure that Baba Shona is talking about? The process, what you need to be doing from now going forward, so that you can put this case to bed once and for all. Thanks.
May I answer that? Simba, thanks for giving me a chance on your platform. I'm also delighted that I'm speaking to you, also a colleague for many years. We all don't have the information, the merits, and also the facts on what happened to Douglas Mnangagwa, apart from the fact that he died in a fire in his flat. Everything else that we have is hearsay. So it's let's understand this as journalists. I'm sorry that I can now relate myself as a former journalist. Um, let's base things on facts. There are so many things that happens in the entire world. Like I will try to relate this situation to the Dr. Kelly. Remember the Dr. Kelly in the UK? Do you remember him? Do you remember him, Simba? In courts, he committed suicide in courts. We can go all over nearly all countries and see there are a lot of gloomy things in politics. But if we're going to act and react on hearsays and aspersions, we are never going to create a good society. Now, one thing that Zimbabwe has suffered, particularly in the First Republic, was a trust between government officials, senior government, in fact, let me say the executive and the media. We are members of the fourth state. We demand for freedoms, but we must also understand that our freedoms come with responsibility. Responsibility to always make sure that these doors are open, but we remain credible in the way that we report. We remain respectful, but also straight to the point. My brother, I think when I came to Zimbabwe, you're one of the persons that I spoke to very intimately. And one thing that was at the bottom of my heart was to also fight for journalists to be recognized, to be given their freedoms and to be protected. I don't want to sound like I'm a campaign manager for the Second Republic or for President Emerson Mnangagwa, but there are a lot of changes that have happened. Journalists, in any circumstances, they've got a lot of freedom to express themselves, to target issues. And I'm saying here to target issues. They are unlike what we were in the First Republic. But when we go the way that you've gone with this particular issue, you realize that freedoms, we forget that our responsibility. And like the previous speaker said, or kept on talking about, our image as a country to the outside world is curved by us, the journalists. Targeting the first lady was not the best thing to do, was not the wisest thing to do. Because at the end of the day, I was speaking to some Kenyan journalist community in which I subscribe to a common community, and they were asking, "Why are you guys doing things this way? And what at the end of the day are you trying to achieve?" Which is what the previous owner says. What's the end game? There's a better way to engage. But in this circumstance, do you think Amai Mnangagwa will engage you again? You've shut the door, and without to the public the facts. Even when you write one story, that story must base it on facts, so that at the end of the day, when you go to the page, even if the subject doesn't like you, but they'll still address you because you have covered all bases. You have gone by every notes and every facts that you've dealt with. But in this case now, it went too personal and it went way lower than the belt. So I think as a journalist, I wish we as Zimbabwean journalists, well, the current ones, can actually have more platforms where we can debate our MOs and also the challenges that we face. And when we face those challenges, we find a unified way of discussing them, dealing with them, and getting to a solution without having to go through banters and also through making things sarcastic based on aspersions and as well as hearsay. I don't know what the problem that Mem Nanga was done, but I have had the privilege to have engaged in her work, and I find her very engaging with journalists. And sometimes, in my opinion, in a very risky way, but she does engage. So things can't go 100% overnight. As we know that President Mnangagwa is still in his first term, and a lot of challenges that they have to deal with. But still, there is a lot of effort in engaging with the fourth state. with the members of the fourth state, a very robust and a very open way of engaging with us. It's not the best time for us to burn those bridges, even in the context that unless there are some certain elements in your interview or in your communication with her that you felt she bullied you or she did not address the questions that you had satisfactorily. Let's look at ourselves as journalists as a state, the fourth state. And that state also have to run responsibly. You are a great journalist, Simba. I must admit, and I know you and me, some here and there, because we are so much in common. We had our own frictions here and there, but we complemented each other very well. And you are one person whose credibility I speak very highly of. And I would actually want to see your media house being one of those that are recognized even beyond our generation. But we have to rise above our affiliations. Now, there was a lot of journalist abuse in the previous regime, in the previous, what do you call it, administration. And I'm not saying that this current administration is perfect or is the best, but I'm saying it's very important for us all to appreciate where things are changing. And also, all of us appreciate that things don't change overnight. When you do that, we realize that we all make progress. They might be doing things, there might be things that are happening that you feel internationally we are being let down. But if you address them with fist fights, with all these jibes and all that, the international community will actually laugh at us, and no one will listen to us, and we won't be able to listen to each other as well. So by so doing, we have done nothing, we have achieved nothing. Like another speaker here said that tinogona kuya pano tikagara tikakurukura tikatandara tikata sei, but tapedza, what's going to happen, what's going to change, what can we change? I have known a lot of things that even our government have changed because the media has put it out there as it is and responsibly. If you want your word to be listened to, put it across in a very responsible way, acknowledging the setup that is there. Listen, I know the office of First Lady, we might say it's not formal, it's not this, but it is. It's there. So we have to acknowledge whether we like or we don't. This attempt to separate her person and the office, not only is it going to affect us negatively, but again, we also have a culture. Britain has got a culture. They've got their monarch. They've got their own way of handling the monarchy. We also need to appreciate, respect, and find the fundamentals of our culture too, than to say, oh no, because other countries don't look at it as it's important. Here, it's important. If it was abused, let's address the abuse. Let's find and let's also get the engagement of that. But for us to now take the merits of another matter and compare it with this, like you have just attempted to do, taking the Mnangagwa situation, that's a different case. If we start to address it now, we are all going to go off the rail and start talking about something else. So, my brother, I'm saying the state needs you, the people need you, and the people need you to engage with every system, every step, every break to the office of the president. Don't go burning the bridges unnecessarily, and especially where the fact is still known only to you. If that makes sense. Because I personally, as somebody who have had a lot of experience in journalism, and here have also worked with the Media Commission and worked with the different other stakeholders with media is concerned, I see a lot of improvement. But I'm saying it can't be perfect overnight. And let's not always having to abuse, I didn't want to use that word, our privileges, claiming rights. Yet we don't want to take responsibility and also give, we want to be respected. When I was a journalist, when I get into a room, I felt I should also be respected as a journalist. But we also need to respect our subjects that we are dealing with, that we are covering. Once we respect each other, then we know we're okay. I'm sure, Simba, you know, your media house have been admitted in so many high profile, sensitive, even some presidential events. And we want that to continue. But we can't continue when we see you over the fence picking stones or picking fights. Especially fighting with somebody like,
Nkoma Simba,
yeah,
please kindly land.
yeah, I think that was the other point I have. Thank you, guys.
All right, thank you, Mofela. Please, can you come in? Mofela, are you still with us? Please, can you unmute?
Sorry, if my fellows are not going to come in, I'm just going to pass my last submission, please. I totally concur with Simbarashe, everything that he said in terms of responsible, journalism, where we need to obviously separate whether, because now what it's turning out to be, it is turning out to be a circus, Simba, sorry, in terms of, where this whole case is going. I would prefer, for you to put it to bed if you can, at your latest or earliest convenience, so that at least we do not, as a country, the image that we portray. I know it is a very, sensitive subject. And I believe for the image of the country, I know you've got very sensitive information. We need to put it to bed if you can. Obviously, there are ways, you're a journalist, I won't tell you what to do, but if possible, so that we can attend to other serious matters that are affecting our country as a people. Thank you so much for the space. And Baba Shona, open your DM, please. And everyone else, have a good night.
Thank you so much, my brother. You have yourself a good night as well. So, guys, if there are any other guys who need to speak, please can you just send through those requests, or you can just put a love emoji, and then I can actually hand you over the mic from my end. And those who are on the speaking panel list, please, if anybody wants to come in, you are free to do so. Thank you.
For me, guys, I think I'm done. Thank you so much. Like I said, our country is more important than any other issue that we can talk about here. If, especially when we just come and put other people's name, into mud without, having information which is adequate to present to the audience or to the people of Zimbabwe. Because the people of Zimbabwe matters most before we even talk of outsiders. The outsiders will come secondly. So, yeah, catch you later. And what I will say is, God bless Zimbabwe. God bless the president and his family. The first lady must be protected by the ancestors of the land and the Holy Spirit. Thank you so much. I
There's
appreciate it.
an ancestors who protect your president. Zimbabwe has rejected that imbecile, that to disrespect Zimbabweans, rolling tanks into the streets, disregarding the constitution.
Iyo yawakutaura
The
shamwari yokai
illegality,
unganoudza mai vako iyoyo.
the
Go and tell your mother
illegality.
that we will not.
Yeah. Sorry, Mabashona. Thank you for the wrap up and for the prayer on the First Lady and the country of Zimbabwe. So I think if you are done, then those guys who have just come through, please, if you can have Zivu, then taxi driver comes. Thanks.
Thank you very much. What we have is people who get angry on behalf of politicians that have
Yeah.
stolen so much from them and their country.
May I also may I come in on that one, boss? May I come in on that one? Guys, we need to. It's not necessary when you don't understand politics to come and talk.
No. You cannot block me from speaking. You cannot block me from speaking. If you do not know that tanks were rolled in Zimbabwe, the constitution of Zimbabwe was mutilated, and it continues to be mutilated today. You are the toddler when it comes to politics. If you do not know, a full-blown coup was instituted by a scumbag that was scared of competitive politics and had to
Sorry, Simba, excuse me. Sorry,
resort to the
Zivu.
use of
Zivu, Ngoma Zivu, sorry. Just a second, please. Just a second. Simba, I don't place this space. We've got visitors from other countries and people listening across the world. I would appreciate if we mind our language so that we
No,
don't
no, no,
portray our
no, no.
country the
You
way
cannot
Yeah,
stop
we are
me
doing.
from
Thanks.
saying this, the
about
truth,
it in
because
newspapers.
But for a
Yeah,
sitting president,
the
about
mere
journalists
fact that they are
also, but
foreigners does not
y-
stop Zimbabweans from
y-
voicing the truth.
you
The
people
truth,
are fun. Y- Sorry,
you're not
You people are funny. People are reading the story of Zimbabwe on internet here about that coup, and you come and say, "No, don't speak about it."
it
no,
It's
not
cannot be
funny,
silenced.
very funny. You very funny, all of you guys.
no, but you can't insult on a sitting president. That's stupid.
No, there are no insults. That so-called president insulted the people of
No,
Zimbabwe and
he's
continues
a
to
sitting
do so. He continues to do so,
stupid.
abusing our people. Today, Zimbabwe has got three exchange rates with a margin of 100%. That is abuse. That same president continues to abuse our people, paying a teacher $40 today. And you think we are going to keep quiet? $40.
Wewe uyu anga achitaura
It's
misogynist
the truth.
akataura
We cannot be silenced because these paid trolls come here in their numbers to cause confusion. We will speak the truth, and the truth is that Mnangagwa is abusing the people of Zimbabwe. Mnangagwa abused the constitution of the country, and they want to come here and lecture us about constitutionalism. As we speak today, the civil servants, including people who work in Mnangagwa's office, continue to be abused, being paid $20, $40 US dollar in this country and age. To add salt to the injury, the so-called CIO are abusing us here, or always waiting for per diems. We speak to them, they are friends. All they're clamoring for is trips outside the country so that they can get us a dollar in their pockets. Why? Because Mnangagwa continue to abuse them. The police, the army, they are not resourced at all. That is abuse at its best. And these same apparatus are used to injure the citizen, to violate the citizen. And these trolls think they can come here and silence us. The truth is the truth. In a foreign land or outside, Mnangagwa was scared of competitive politics, could not go to the Congress of ZANU-PF and compete against Mugabe or whoever else, and abused the apparatus of the state, rolling tanks in the streets, using lobbying firms, using outside forces in China and Britain to effect regime change, unconstitutional regime change in Zimbabwe. And you want to come and lecture us here today that we are less patriotic when you had to use the army to remove Mugabe, and you want to tell us about patriotism? Huh? You want to tell us about patriotism when you
All right,
subverted the supreme law of the country?
my brother Zivo. All right, thank you so much for your submissions. I'm gonna allow you to continue, but I'm asking you your issues to zero in on the Auxillia Mnangagwa video.
Yeah, thank you. Can you give me a minute to land, please?
Thank you.
I just want to emphasize to Zimbabweans that your voice is very important. Continue to speak in your spaces, continue to speak in your communities, continue to engage the people on facts and truth. Zimbabwe cannot be built by lies. We have been lied to for 42 years. We cannot continue to be lied to today. We have to stand for the truth, and only the truth shall build a truthful country that will stand to benefit our people. A sustainable government cannot be built on lies and cosmetics. I thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, my brother. Taxi driver, please, you can take it on.
May I be also allowed the same chance to address them?
Taxi driver, are you ready? All right. If taxi driver is not ready, we can go to Jabulo and then brother Max. Thank you.
Okay. To me, my words of encouragement is to Simba. If what he's got is authentic and it's real, publish it. Because one of the things that Zimbabwe has inherited is the freedom of journalism.
And I think some of you that follow news, we're having the story of Boris Johnson some time back, right? Just think some few in April or in March there, that he had a party during the lockdown. Everyone was watching it on TV, state TV, BBC. Why? What makes Mnangagwa and Auxilia more important than other people, besides that they are public servants? And if they are abusing their office, why can't it be exposed to the stakeholders, which is every Zimbabwean? They just have to abuse the office. No one has to say anything about it. They just have to do it. And all the Zimbabweans have to be quiet. To me, Simba, this is where real journalism starts from. And if you have that story and you are sure you've done your investigation, put it in the public platform. We'll retweet if we need to retweet it. And we'll encourage you to further. Because if you want a good image of a country, these people are funny that speak about the good image of the country. To me, I find it very funny. It's like someone, you don't bath, you don't dress up, you just take your perfume and you want to spray it over your dead. This is what Zimbabweans, we are not solving problems, but we expect to smell nice. If you want to smell nice in the public, bath, dress up, take your bath, put on your roll-on nicely, wash your clothes, so that when you appear in the public, your smell matches, you smell nice. But Zimbabweans, we're busy, the government is abusing people, the public ministers, they are abusing the people of Zimbabwe. They are corrupt. But no, when we come to the international, you think Simba will, by him being here, will tarnish the image of Zimbabwe? Read the news here about Zimbabwe. Remove Simba from the picture here. Read news. Just type Zimbabwe and see what comes up. Don't type anything. Just type Zimbabwe and see the first few things that come up. Then you think Simba has the power to stop the internet. There in Zimbabwe, you don't even own the internet. But you are here busy trying to control it. Own your own internet. And then you start controlling the narrative to the whole world. Own the rights to the word Zimbabwe and say no one should publish about it. Because the first time I heard about the coup was not from ZBC. I was watching BBC at 3 a.m. and they were publishing that Zimbabwe is under a coup. Tanks have been rolled out. I saw that on a foreign TV. But we come here and say, no, don't. I don't get that thing. I don't get it. Our image is tarnished because all of you here in this space right now, 90% of you are outside of Zimbabwe. It shows that your home is on fire, but you come here and you want to correct. They know you are beggars here in South Africa. They know you are in England. They know it, and they know the reason why you are there. So what else can tarnish the image of Zimbabwe besides the fact that Zimbabweans are all over the place? If you want to mend, take everyone home, lock the door, provide jobs for them. But Simba, keep up the good work. Let no one gaggle you. If what you have is authentic, it's real. The rule of journalism, my brother, it's one. You publish the story. That's why you investigate it. You put it there on the public platform so that the whole world will see for people for what they are. We can't gaggle you. We can't say this, don't say this. Say what you have. Say the truth. It's about tomorrow. It will be about Chamisa doing what. Put it on the public platform. It's about put it on the public platform so that people will take responsibility over their actions. We don't care who it is as long as it is the truth. Thank you.
Thank you so much, my brother Jabulo. There are some guys like Clint and my brother Chaka. I can't see you from my end. I don't know if Simba, if you are able to see Clint and brother Chaka. And also, I get it from.
I only see 17. Yeah, I can see them. Yeah.
Yeah, please check and complete. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And then in the meanwhile, taxi driver, are you ready now?
Yes, thank you, Simba. Thank you, co-host and host. Uh, no, uh, I was just saying I will join you in 10 minutes. I was just doing something. I just want to say, Simba, do what is good for you, what is good for your career, and what is good for the country. You know what is good for you. Um, Tomorrow, government Zimbabwe will transcend all of us. You have a legacy to look after. You want people to engage with you in the future, even those who are calling for you to publish. Tomorrow, when you have something against them, they won't want you to publish. There is an integrity for yours, but the choice is yours. That's all I'm saying. And I end with just saying a wonder only lasts 7 days, no more, no less. Thank you for giving me the mic, Simba. I hope to engage with you in many platforms in the future. And thanks for the invite for me to join here. Have a great evening. Enjoy your sleep and think deeper. When you make these decisions, don't make them out of emotion. I heard a voice of your colleague Simbarashe. Again, I don't know what this thing with Simbarashe being journalist. So there was a voice of reason in that one. So thank you very much. I appreciate your giving me the mic. Thank you.
Thank you so much, taxi driver. Yeah, that was sweet and short. Mofela, are you ready, Mofela? And if Mofela is not ready, I think we have no other speakers here. Champion, I don't know. Do you want to say something? All right, later on.
I think I'm already there, Ishione, so you can't see me. Can you hear me though?
Yes, I can hear
Yes,
you,
we
man.
can hear you.
Thank you. The show of desperation is really wonderful. They are the desperate to protect the First Lady, citing all sorts of reasons, starting from abuse and appealing to the good nature of the journalist, to employ protocol and all sorts, all responsibility to him to show good ethics. It's wonderful. But I don't think even the journalists who were appealing to Simba to follow protocol and good ethics in journalism were actually balanced in their appeal. I have not seen anybody advocate for the public whose good is being represented by journalism. For Simba to publish a story, the first that he has to establish is the public interest. So the public is the number one who's being advocated for here. Yet journalists are now here advocating for the one that Simba accuses on behalf of his thought that it is public interest. The public completely ignored. So now we want to understand what ethical, moral fiber they are using. So for me, Simba Mondi here for one reason alone, the public interest. You can keep us on a long rope. What you'd be then saying to us is that whatever you determined to be of public interest is not actually that critical. It can wait. Therefore, you can bring it in drips and drabs. So already to me, you are saying, calm down. It is not as urgent. The risk to you is not that deep because you are keeping a long rope. If it was urgent and you are protecting me, then there should be a timeline in which you want this case resolved on my behalf. That's the advocacy you are playing. But as it stands, we are on part one. I don't understand how many parts this would take. 100 parts? Will they take 2 years? So that public interest issue, I have to question you. Is it really of interest to me? And what's the urgency? Now, do I have to beg for that? I'm calling on your own ethics. Does the public whose interest you represent now have to beg to see how important this issue is? Should we put it down to tabloid news, where the interest is for my fun, my pleasure, or my security? You determine that in how quickly you expose this story. But for the ones who like to talk about procedures, and I think they were speaking on behalf of the First Lady, I think it's also a public interest to me now. Why a First Lady given resources, access to, means to resources, institutions, and employees cannot use said things to actually show the Zimbabwean girl, if she's being abused as a woman and she's an advocate for girls, why isn't she using those apparatus to actually deploy what would be just? If a man is hounding you unjustly, what does an empowered woman do? Why isn't she being asked to use protocol to deal with what Simba is doing? She's not vulnerable. As a Zimbabwean person, I've given her the resources, the power, access to close proximity to power and things that tools. I've even put in her proximity people with knowledge. It makes me believe the security of our nation is at stake if it is unable to deal procedurally with issues of threat. My Mnangagwa answering her own phone to Simba Chikanza leaves me to think our nation is at risk. There's no protection, there's no security, it's porous. I am scared. What else can be extracted out of Zimbabwe's information oozing out of the mouth of the First Lady via her own device to unknown persons? Who's filtering it? What else has she said to other people that may have information? So the public interest now, for me, that we must investigate why our systems so porous and why is our First Lady just talking to randoms like a driveling lunatic for 35 minutes. Who was there to ensure that this nonsense did not last for 35 minutes, and why was it allowed? Now that it has happened, why are there no systems to actually stop it justly, not unjustly? Why are there no processes for negotiating with Simba what must happen? And why isn't she actually using the law, rightfully so, to make Simba say what he has got if she has no fear of anything, or to gag him legally? There's recourse for that. Why is Simba being the one asked to follow protocol? Why can't the First Lady follow protocol and show the Zimbabwean girl what you can deploy if somebody is doing that? What are we meant to learn? That as a woman, you must be vulnerable and rely on a few individuals who then run around trying to beg other people not to do wrong things to you. Why can't she use the law? To me, public interest to you, Simba, is it really that urgent? This long rope, how long are you willing to stretch it? To the First Lady, deploy the tools that the Zimbabwean people have put in your disposal to do the right thing and show the Zimbabwean girl how to protect herself. And to the journalists who keep advocating for my Mnangagwa, Your responsibility is to the public. Public interest is what you should have reminded Simba of. Protecting my Mnangagwa. She already has individuals paid using our taxpayers' money to do that advocacy. Yours is for the public interest. Thank you, Simba and co-host.
So I think I was going next. I'm not so sure about that. But I just want to agree with Marcy in almost everything she said. And that's a rarity for me. I've engaged with Marcy so many times. And for us who are easily identifiable due to our logos and stuff, we also spoke about this, particularly about the First Lady. How is it? Even me, I'm a ZANU PF supporter, sympathizer, whatever I want to call it. I never dreamed in my wildest dreams that I could even get to know the First Lady's personal phone number. How does Simbashi Kanza of Zim I, a known adversary, end up with the First Lady's phone number? And when he calls, the First Lady actually answers and engages Simba. And at some point, Simba was actually showing evidence that the First Lady called him back on video. What the hell is going on? So for me, this issue of national security, I think that we are very, very far from understanding it. And Marcy has put it quite clearly. Ladies and gentlemen, it takes one slip up, and we will be enslaved. The willing and unwilling. Whether you are willing to be enslaved by the neo-colonialists or not, whether you think the US embassy is for us, is for democracy, you will be enslaved. So for me, I have the same questions as Marcy. And to Simbashi Kanza, I wanted to say, I have an issue about some of your journalistic tactics, let's call them. But you are journalists nonetheless, regardless of because journalists have got levels. You've got your level in journalism. For me, I find that sometimes you come across a bit aggressive. You are not trying to find out information. You're not trying to hold people accountable. I feel like you are just going there to portray this Simba who can do this, that, and the other. And one issue I came across, which formed my sort of view on how you do things. You remember the football women's netball team, not football, netball team that came to Liverpool, and they did us proud in Liverpool, the World Cup, netball World Cup, and Zimbabweans were singing and doing everything in Liverpool. We became a talk of the town because of how we supported our team. But there was also this issue about the coach, and I don't know whoever else. The girls never received any payment, any allowances, anything like that. And you went after the coach. I saw you, Simba, posting something where you were approaching this person in the public, in the street, with some lady they were with. I don't know what the capacity of that lady was, official. The way you were in this man's face, you were even blocking his way. You can't go anywhere. I want you to answer me. Where is the money? Why didn't you pay our girls? And the girl will be like, I've got no comment. And he tries to walk and you stand right in his face with your camera. If it was me, you can ask me anything. You can come to me with your questions, allegations. But if I say to you, no comment, that is it. You can walk alongside me where I'm going. You can continue to ask me your questions. What you don't do is stand in front of me and stop me going from where I want to go, simply because you're a journalist. The people of Zimbabwe want to know. That's what you were saying. If you come in my face and stop me from where I want to go because you think you have the right to demand what you want to know, you and your camera, roundhouse yandinokupa simba ndiri kunyepera, I will floor you and your camera like no, you will never ever stand in front of that. But that's what I saw. When, hold on a second, when it comes to the first lady, you know, there are journalists like here in the UK. They have reported really scandalous things about government officials, about anything. They can still go to the same government officials and ask for interviews, and they are granted the interviews. Why? One, they are respectful. One, they are not denigrating. Don't try and denigrate a person. Which I feel that's in a way you were trying to do that with a first lady. If you don't call me by this time, do you know what a program is? Let her give you her timetable. Don't demand and put deadlines. Of course, you can put deadlines. I'm publishing this thing on this day. But the way you were doing it for me was more like trying to coerce somebody into things. That is not journalism. And I'm not a journalist, I have to say. But the truth of the matter is, the fact that you got the first lady's phone number personally is not your fault. I'll never fault you for that. I fault the desk of the first lady or whoever the team that filter her things. Or is there a mole in that office? That's what we are thinking about personally, some of us. So I would love to hear you exposing things that are wrong in Zimbabwe, the murders. But when you speak, because you heard something else, no evidence. Someone just said to you right now, Kuti, you mentioned this son of someone who burnt in their flat. As far as you're concerned, it's a done deal. He was murdered. Really? Do you actually have the facts? Do you actually know that he was murdered? I don't think you do. You are just here because you think it's popular to say things like that. Because if you had the evidence, you would have produced it long time ago. So that is my contribution, ladies and gentlemen. We want you Zimbabweans to expose the corruption, expose the murders, expose anything that you think is wrong for our country. Because I don't think there's anyone on any side of the political aisle who wants abuse to continue, who wants the corruption to continue. Nobody. What we need is the evidence. And the investigative journalists like you have a role to play. You have the strings, you have the connections to find out this information, which a normal Zimbabwean wouldn't be able to do. And when you do that, don't show that you are biased towards one side of the story. Your stories are just ZANU PF, or this pylon is fallen, or this, that, and the other. And then when the other side expose their own corruption, you go there and you shut down their spaces. If you are an anti-corruption, anti-sleaze, anti-person, you are that person. Don't be anti-government. Don't be anti-opposition. Don't be anti-anything. Just be anti-corruption, undemocratic practices. Expose them wherever you find them. But if your exposés are just towards one side of the aisle, to me, you lose every credibility you can ever think you'll ever want. And for me, my parting shot is to you, Simba. I wish you had tried that with me, where you come with your camera in the UK with the laws and everything that is in this country. You stop me, you block me from walking in the street because you're trying to chase a story. I wish you had done that with me. Thank you.
Is it me?
Yes, you can go ahead, Clint.
No, okay, yeah. Thanks very much. Yeah, thank you, Simpai and the co-host. I just wanted to say, I think um, it's a problem. No wonder why our country is in a mess. We have got people who wants to defend what is wrong, and they don't want things to be exposed. That's why corruption is so high. I don't understand why. I think the office of the Zimbabwean president and the first lady, Mai Mnangagwa, it's so overrated in Zimbabwe. It's so overrated. There is nothing that is actually so special about a telephone number or their telephone number. In other countries, you have those telephone numbers everywhere. You can actually phone and actually speak to the person, that the president of the country. Why do you want to treat them so special? No wonder why they actually roll on the tanks, the army in the streets, because there's no attachment with the people which they are leading. So I would want to say, Simba, you are doing very well. You're a journalist. Your work is to expose and bring things that are uncomfortable to the society, to the leaders, so for accountability. There is nothing wrong about that. Can it stop? Can these guys who are actually saying no, you don't need actually, because it's the office of the first lady. What is the difference between the people who were killed in 2018 and January 2019 by the army with live ammunition? What is the difference between those people and Auxillia Mnangagwa? What is the difference? They are all human. But these people are already dead. I've got a sister who were shot, and not even a politician during that time. But you want to treat someone to say, no, you don't need to do that. You don't need to expose it. You don't need to... Simba, you did your work. You brought the audience or the audio. If these people wants to get more information, they are close to Mai Mnangagwa, they must ask here. Not to come here to say, no, what you are doing is wrong, and what you are doing, what you want. Remember, Nikimangwana, the last, I think it was yesterday or a day before, he even said, give a statement that to you that he has got actually to do, to say, one day you have actually to come to Zimbabwe. As if Zimbabwe belongs to these people. That's nonsense. Zimbabwe is for everybody. It's not for ZANU-PF. We mustn't actually treat Zimbabwe as in a personal thing. It's for everyone. Everyone has got a right to be actually to be heard. So I'm actually, I don't understand why these people they come. They express, no, Simba, you were supposed to do, you're supposed to engage. But she's just like any citizen. She's a public servant, and she must actually then, anyone should be free to speak to her or to the president. So that's my submission. I think it's overrated, the office of these people. We need actually to respect the people, not to respect, to say because of the office and all the international and that's the duty of the of journalists. They are there to expose things. Let them expose. But don't try to cover them up. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Clint. We're gonna have Lamek and then T-Boza after.
Thanks very much for giving me the opportunity to speak once more. All I want to find out uh, is the office, is Auxilia Mnangagwa, is he somebody who should be an official of Zimbabwe, or she's just merely the wife of the president Mnangagwa? The fact that she is the wife of President Mnangagwa, she doesn't have she's not a functionary, a government functionary. She's not a government functionary at all. She's just the wife of the president. That's it. He's just as ordinary as anybody. And if there is any rot that she is doing, it is within our right to know what she is doing. If it's wrong, it has to be exposed. Whether it's exposed in part one, in part two, or part three, that's immaterial. The work of the journalist is to expose the dirt so that the general public can know what is happening. Those who know about Geoff Nyaruta when he was working for the Chronicle, he is the one who exposed the rot that was happening in Willowville. And it was through his investigative journalism that the late President Mugabe ended up instituting a commission of inquiry into how the Willowville motor industry was being abused by politicians, by ministers. And we all know this is what led to Nyagombo drinking the poison. All this, the Frederick Shaw, who is now been returned as the Minister of Foreign Affairs, he was also implicated in this, in that Willowville scandal. The work of the journalist is to report whatever they find to the public because it is within our interest to know what is happening. These people now they come to say, "Hey, you must respect the first lady." In which manner is she a government functionary that she has to be? Even though she was a government functionary, if she does something wrong, it doesn't matter which position you hold in the country, what platform you are, or wherever you are. You have to be righteous. You have to move in the right path. If you go astray, and the journalists happen to know about that, journalists are there to expose that rot to the public so that we can understand what type of a person he or she is. Simba is doing the right thing by exposing what these people are doing. They are destroying the country. There's too much corruption, and there's this culture within the top brass that they think they own Zimbabwe. They think that they have a right to do whatever, to ride roughshod over the public. That is not right. The work of the journalists is to expose the road so that everybody toes the line, moves in the right direction, moves on the side of righteousness. No matter whether it's the president or it's the Chamisa or it's Auxilia, anybody who holds public office is got to account for his or her own action. So all I say is keep it up, Simba. Publicize everything that is wrong, and it's up to us to see. Well, don't ever listen to those people who are sort of, maybe they are also in the troll. They are eating. They've got something to gain from Auxilia, and they're trying to sort of put here hang here with with kid gloves. We are not going to wait for that. If there's something bad, let it out. Thank you. That's all I want to say. Bye.
Thank you, Lamek. T-Boza, you can go ahead.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for giving me the platform. I've been waiting in the wings for some time. I'd requested because of the gentleman that said he was a former journalist. I was quite, I got a bit animated when he was making his submission because I took issue with some of the things that he said. I've got a few questions and a few submissions, and I'll try and keep it short. Following the discussion, I've been left wondering whether, as Zimbabweans, as a nation, we actually understand what the concept of democracy is. And I suppose this might be a product of the way the nation has been founded and handled, from 1980. There's a lot of things that we have inherited that we think are actually normal when they actually aren't normal. So we know that there are three formal arms of the state. You've got the executive, you've got the legislature, and then you've got the judiciary. And then you've got what is called the fourth estate, which is the media and journalism. The fourth estate, over and above holding account to those three arms of state, is also to disseminate information. It's not always about exposing or whatever. It's about providing information that in a is that the state has got a schizophrenic relationship with the media. The state has been conceptualized by the successive governments that we've had. The state has got a schizophrenic relationship with the media, and this schizophrenic relationship with the media is born out of the fact that the state or the state players actually understand that the media has got an influence on people's opinions. And this is, a fact throughout the world. So, what goes out in the media is important because in a normal situation, it would influence how people perceive politicians and thereby influence how people actually respond. So the media has actually evolved, over the years. We used to have the days of, well, we still have the days of the 24-hour news cycle, where you get breaking news, and at some point, the only source of, up-to-date news was, these big media houses, CNN and the like. But we're now in the age of social media, where information just be there in an instant, and people can share stories and people can share, breaking news, as it were. This has confronted governments with the fact that they've got information that they cannot control. So they have to respond to information as it happens, and this presents a to democratic that they cannot control, and they don't know when the next bit of information is going to come from. Um, my question to Simba was maybe a bit academic in the sense that were his thoughts about oppressive regimes and how they are coping with this new age of social media and these new sources of news and information. So that's one. The second one was to do with the timing. I think Marcy came on two speakers ago and she was asking a question that I wanted to ask about the timing of this expose. The reason why I'm asking that is because we do know that the timing of the release of information, you know, it can be a deliberate endeavor in the sense that we know that when you time releasing certain information, it can influence events in a certain way. I mean, case in point is there's a recent New York Times publication to do with something that Trump did when he was in office. They had all the information a long time ago, but chose to publish it at a certain time. There was also the issue about, is it James Comey or Comey? He was the FBI director who had that information about the Clinton emails and all that, and chose to release them on the eve of the election. And there are certain schools of thought that say that he may have influenced the election, because of the timing. Now, I'm not putting any accusations towards Simba, but what I'm saying is that we have been put on a long rope, and we probably need to have a clear timeline on when this expose is going to come out. Otherwise, it becomes a little bit of a circus in the sense that, in as much as it may be timed for impact, it might end up being a bit of a comedy show. So I wonder if there is something credible to be released when it's going to. For some of us of a certain way of thinking, the longer things take, they get out of our mind space, and we lose concentration. So maybe there's a risk that I don't know if he's just doing his due diligence before all this comes out. But at the end of the day, we have to value the role that the media and journalism play in shaping our democracies, and we can't then come here on spaces and start crediting governments for at least giving space to some journalists as if we have to applaud them for that. In the first place, they shouldn't have closed up the spaces. So we are in a situation where it's quite contradictory. In Zim, we start uploading things that we shouldn't upload. The state players, they shouldn't even be closing up the spaces in the first place, and we can't be applauding them for slightly opening the door, and we say that we have to do cartwheels for that. It simply means that maybe we haven't matured as a democracy to the level that our citizens actually require. Zim is a bit of a contradiction in that sense, because people here coming and saying, "Oh, these are things. This is the way things are done in Zim." They want to quote countries, so they want to pick and choose the rules or the laws that they want to follow because it suits their narrative, but they don't want to follow the whole slate of things that need to be done. But I hope that Simba can address those things that I've put on the plate. And thank you for the platform.